Hi, it's Chantel from Fiberific here. This week we're going to discuss how I get started on another whip. That's right, I'm starting another project. I realised in the count and going through some of my things last week that I don't actually have any lace projects to work on. They're the one thing I tend to just go from start to finish and just go. I was discussing with a friend about what I should do this week's video on, and we were joking about how I should start another project, and then lo and behold, that's what I've gone with. We are actually starting another project. So it's a lace project. Now I'm going to be using the Tadpole 100% silk. It's a 2-ply and it's very fine. It's about 1,000 yards or 915 meters per 100 grams. The pattern that I've chosen to go with, Happy Together by Boo Knits. Yes, it is that pattern I wasn't going to look at last week, and I looked at it. So I've got my yarn, I've got my beads, I've chosen, even though the pattern has stated it prefers a 600 meter per 100 gram yarn, I'm going to be changing it up a little bit so that I can use my 100% silk that I've got here already in my kit. So I will be using different needle sizes, and I am going to make the largest possible shawl that I can. So I have bought extra beads. So what we're going to do from here is we're going to flip over to the Ravelry screen, and I'm going to show you how I set up a project there. Come back here and we'll have a look at the tools that we're going to use. Okay, so we're here in Ravelry and we're going to add in our new project. I'm going to go to my notebook and projects, and then we're going to click over here to add project. Now looking at all those scary ones that I haven't finished. So we're going to name this project Together for YouTube. Helps if I could type. Now we're calling this one's, the pattern's called Happy Together. And it will find it for us. There it is. We're going to choose the Boo Knits Happy Together. We're making it for anybody who makes purchases at my stall over $80 will be able to go into a draw to win this if I get it finished in time. We're going to make it the biggest possible with my yarn. The pattern name, it's knitting. I'm not going to worry about tags for now or the gauge. We're going to add some yarn. We're going to add Fiberific Tadpole. There it is. Alright, we're going in natural. And it's 1,000 yards. We're going to go with one skein. Purchased from me at Fiberific, because I paid myself. No, I didn't. I don't remember when I got it. Now, one thing I do like to do in my notes, the first note I like to put in is the beads that I'm using so I don't forget. Now, I've got my little bead case here, and as usual, they're the Miyuki, because I love Japanese beads. Size 8 rounds. 8-0 round in crystal ivory gold. Okay, now I've forgot to put my knitting needles in, didn't I? There we go. Add needles. Now we're not going with the pattern recommendation because my yarn's so much thinner. I'm dropping down 1/2 mil of everything. So I'm going to go 3.25 and 3.5. There we go. Now we're going to start this as of today. Little pink star for today. And then we need to save this. And let's add a photo. So you can slurp a photo of the yarn off my website. I'm a-okay with that for this purpose. Okay, so website pictures of my yarn, and we've got the natural tadpole. There we go. Here it comes. Sorry, you wouldn't have been able to see any of that. Okay, and then we're ready to go. We've got everything set. Got a picture of the yarn. The pattern that we're using from Boo Knits here is Happy Together. It's a gorgeous pattern. I'm going to do it natural with those beautiful ivory beads. And we'll go back over to the little set and talk some more over there. Okay, now that we've got that all set up, we can get to yarn and needles. Now we've got our pattern. I've printed out the first few pages. I've got my yarn, my tadpole silk in the natural. It's kind of a honey colour. I'm not sure how well the colour will show up. I've chosen these gorgeous beads. Hang on, they're crystal ivory gold Miyuki size 8 seed beads. Now, I am a Miyuki Japanese seed bead addict. I tend not to use any other beads other than the Miyuki beads. I've just found that their quality is very good. I don't have too many problems with beads not having holes in them or being broken or anything like that. I find them to be very hard wearing and very consistent through their packaging. So if I have to get another set of beads from another supplier even, it's generally close enough for me not to notice a difference. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is needles. You can absolutely use your straight up fixed circulars that you've got. Now remember, I am going to be using different sizes than the pattern states, so I've worked out that I want to drop down about 1/2 mil off the pattern. It'll still be very open, very lacy, probably a little more open even, because this will not halo as much as my other yarn may well have. But I only want to drop down 1/2 mil because I do want it open, I do want it lacy, and I want to be able to block it. And this particular silk is very high twist, so it won't stretch very well, which means it will hold its shape better. Now I've got, you do have the choice of your fixed circulars. Now personally, I do prefer my interchangeables. I like to be able to have the shorter cable for when I've got less stitches and be able to just change the cable out when I've got more and more stitches. It's just less cumbersome while I'm knitting. And if I can make life any easier for myself, I absolutely will. It is my nature. If I want to add another project to my everlasting whip pile, I will, like I am. Oh, by the way, just letting you know, I'm blaming you all for me casting on a new project. It's got nothing to do with me. And if my husband asks why I've started another project, it's because I needed to do one for YouTube. There's no other reason, just so that you are aware. Okay, so I'm going to be using the ChiaoGoo interchangeables. So they're in their gorgeous little set. I personally prefer the 5-inch tips. I find that they fit better in my hand and I just enjoy using them more. And for this cast on, so you get 3 cables in your kit, but for this cast on, I'm just going to use the shortest cable just purely because it will be less cumbersome for me. Oh, that was clever. Don't try and screw your actual tip into the screw. It doesn't work. Trust me. Okay, so I'll get my little tightening key. That's another thing with these interchangeables. You've always got to remember to tighten them with the key. Like, you may think you've got like vice-like grip, but they will come undone, and you don't want them to come undone, especially while you're knitting lace. Or while you're knitting anything. Who wants their needle to come undone? Certainly not me. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to cast on for you. I'm not going to give away any of Boo Knit's special pattern secrets. If you want to come along this journey with me, you can get your pattern from the links below. I've posted all the links down below for the Boo Knits pattern, where I buy my beads from, the ChiaoGoo needles, stitch markers. Honestly, get your hands on some of the Blinglet stitch markers. They won't snag in your lace and they will just feel fantastic. The Blinglet stitch markers I make myself. I get anodized copper and I use a jeweler's cement to glue one of these Magatama beads directly over the join so that it won't come undone and it won't snag on your yarn. I've had a lot of people who just keep coming back and coming back to get more and more. They just love them. I personally love them, but I am biased because I do make them myself. but the stitch markers make your life so much easier. I put a stitch marker in for every single repeat, and I know it ends up being a lot of stitch markers, but it just means that I can only have to keep track of a really small number of stitches, like anywhere from 12 to 15 stitches, and that's all I have to think about, and therefore it makes the lace really, really easy. So all of these links are going to be down below. All the products that I've talked about will be featured on my website for this week. The tadpole yarn, the ChiaoGoo needles, the blinglets, they'll all be on the homepage of the website, so they're nice and easy to find. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment and share. If you don't want to miss any future videos, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you next week.